I've got a couple of those standing vases here, and they are narrower at the top than the bottom, as you can see. They have a base, and on this one I've done a little extra design on the top, and we're going to just go with that sort of shape. And this one that I've drawn out on this clay is actually made with 3 pieces and a triangular base, so it's not a square one, it's a triangular one. And what's interesting is how you measure this out. I'm just going to spend 2 minutes telling you how to do that. Using a set square, this also has a centimetre rule on the edge. You're going to go along your base. In this case, I've marked up 12 centimetres. Mark that with the knife at each end and mark the 6 halfway along. Then going up the middle, you're going to measure the height, and I've got 12 at this end and 12 at this end, so that when I draw a line along between the 2 marks, those are parallel, the top and the bottom are parallel. I've done, as I just said, 6 here, then 6, and going up from the middle, that's a vertical line because I've drawn along the side of the set square. I've then measuring 4 and 4, 4 and 4, mark on each side. Then from the 6 to the 4, from the 4 to the 6. So that's my first wall. I don't need that line anymore. Now we've done it once, we don't have to keep doing that. We just measure 12 across the top, 8 at the bottom, 8 at the top, 12 at the bottom, and we draw those extra lines. And here is the base as a triangle. You know, you need to think about this, but I would suggest that the best thing is get a piece of paper, draw out what you're trying to make and work out how many pieces you need. Don't draw to scale, just get a sketch to give yourself an idea of what you're trying to make. And then you're going to cut it out, but you're going to use a ruler on the line to make sure you get a nice vertical line. Let's get rid of that piece, and so on, like this. Now, rather than me doing all that now, I'm going to find one that I made earlier. And here we have the pieces cut out. And here is one of the walls. In fact, this one is a square base, not a triangular base. And the wall is going to sit on top of the base like that. Always when you're making slab boxes and pots, the base has to go underneath the walls. Now, because this is going to slope inwards, we need the walls to be beveled. Beveling is a way of reducing this edge from a right angle to an angled edge. And you can see on this one that I've cut inwards on both sides. So if I take 2 of those which have been beveled, when I put them together on top of the base, the corner matches up. Pretty much like that. Okay, so that's the objective. I'm just going to show you with this one which hasn't been beveled how to bevel. Take the piece, lay it on the table, take your ruler, lay your ruler about ½ centimetre back from the edge, bearing in mind this is ½ centimetre thick. Take your knife at a 45-degree angle and run it along the edge of the ruler at that angle like that, and that's how you create the bevel. It's never going to be perfect. People who are perfectionists absolutely hate slab building because there's always something goes wrong. Now, I'm going to take off another line on this side. There we go. And that is now beveled. That means it will fit into the corner like the other ones. So coming back to joining the pieces, in order to join this onto the base, you're going to line it up with the base, make sure it's lined up on the outside, and on the inside, draw a line with your knife on the base, like so. And inside that space is where we're going to stick it. So plenty of scoring on the base like that. 2 directions. And on the edge of the slab, the same thing. Score. Try and take your time. I'm rushing this so that we don't leave you waiting. And then using the clay mixed with water, which is slip, plenty of that. Even if you have more than you need, just get plenty onto the edge like so, and stick it down. Now make sure you line it up with the outside of the pot and run your finger along. Now, because this is quite tall, I'm going to hold on to it. I'm now going to take some extra clay, and this is the same clay, but it's soft, straight from the bag. And I'm going to roll a sausage. Now, that's far too much. We're going to roll a really thin sausage, like about a matchstick thin. Okay, like so. And I'm going to put that into the bottom join there. Now, holding your hand behind the wall, start in the center and push that tight into the corner. Okay, all the way along. Now, if you're making something to hold food, like a bowl or whatever, you need to make sure this is really well joined in with no cracks showing, otherwise the particles of food will get in behind the clay. There we go. And we don't want the excess clay. We're going to take off in there, that last bit, and in there. Okay. The second wall, which has been beveled, is going to fit against the first wall like that. And you need to score the two walls on the bevel and the base of this one. You're going to use plenty of slip. Going to stick those together. I'm not going to do this now because you can see what happens. And when you're joining two walls together on the outside, get your thumb and your finger together like this and run it down the corner. Okay, that just makes sure it's really well stuck on the outside. On the inside, you're going to put a sausage of soft clay, just as I showed you before, along the bottom, and another one up the wall. Okay, I won't do that because it takes time. Third one will go in like that. Same principle again, scoring along the bottom, scoring up the wall. And the fourth one, when it goes in, you're going to have to do along the bottom and up both walls. Now, you may already have realized you can't reach in anymore. You can't get your hand inside, but you still need to get a sausage on that final wall. So once you've rolled your sausage, make a nice decent length sausage like so, you're going to droop it in from the top into the corner, holding your fingers behind the wall. Do as much as you can reach with your finger like that, joining it in, and then find a piece of wood and just do that right down to the bottom. It is tricky, but it's worth it. Once you have all the walls stuck together, you can then add extra pieces. You can add extra pieces to the surface. So we might have a design on the surface like that, or you can do what I did here, and you can add extra strips around the top. In this case, I cut those at 45-degree angle in the corner. Now, you should always put a soft clay sausage behind a structure like this, underneath it, or wherever, just to give it extra strength. In the case of a piece like this, you don't need an extra sausage for those windowsills because they're not really structural, and those little bits in the middle. And here is just score and slip, so you need to score the back of it and stick it on. If you're going to do any design work like this on the surface, do that before your pieces are stuck to each other. Okay, so if you're going to design, let's say I want to draw into the surface of this one, I can do that while it's laying on the table. We want a little, I don't know, leaf maybe, design, then that can be in the surface. Also, if you're making, let's say, a lantern and you want holes in the walls of your piece, then cut those holes while it's on the table, not when it's joined. And just a suggestion, you get away with it like that, but be very careful because sometimes you get a crack running from the edge of the hole up the piece, and if your holes are too close to the corner of the piece, then the piece will break. So you need to be thoughtful about that. Some of these, like the windows in this one, the bits in the middle were stuck in afterwards, but you're going to work out for yourself. Okay, so that's 2/3 of the job done, and it's worth spending time. I'd maybe take 2 or 3 hours to do this project.